Greg Jennings looking all swole in front of his jerseys. Greg, look, I want to start with the NBA because you, like me, love the league, follow the league, have opinions on the league. And I understand why the preliminary plan was the bubble. But in addition to other things, like 3 months with just your dudes around, you're going to end up hating your best friend. Like, that doesn't work. I remember I talked to the coaches at Duke one year, and they played in China and Dubai, like, in October. And then they lost early in the NCAA tournament. And I was like, what happened to you guys? You guys faded down the stretch. He's like, you know what? We were around each other too much. Do you like this plan for the NBA that's been made now? It feels like it's been made 2 months ago, but it's going to play out in 2 months.
Yeah, I actually do like the plan. And one of the reasons why I would kind of come back at you when it comes to what they're doing and how they're doing it as a destination, and the guys being around each other so long for a period of time. No one in history, or I shouldn't say history, but no one that's playing in the league right now to date has ever gone through something like this and then wanted to play what the sport that they love so desperately and so bad. No one's going to be thinking about, oh man, I'm going to have to spend 3 months with just the guys. They just want to get back on the hardwood, whether there's fans. Yes. Does that play a role? Of course, but that's not the focus. That's not your mentality right now. You just want an opportunity to accomplish and finish what you set out to do. And that's to potentially win an NBA championship. If you're any team that has a shot, and from what we're seeing, the format, so many teams have a shot. So I think it's going to be exciting, and they're just going to be simply ecstatic to be back doing what they love to do.
Oh, I think they'll be ecstatic to be back when they have training camp and they have the first 8 games and maybe into the playoffs a little bit. But when you start to, like, you're there for 3 months. What's the longest you've ever stayed in one hotel?
Probably a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. But Doug, what you have to realize is we're talking as if we haven't all been in one location. Yes, it's been our own homes, or for some, maybe not even, but we've been quarantined already. So this is the norm. I
understand, but now you're in a world where everyone else isn't quarantined and you're back into quarantine. I don't know how that works with the mind.
They're not going to see it as the fact that they're quarantined all over again. You're just not. Okay. You are going to appreciate the fact that we can get back to what is a glimpse of normalcy for us in playing a sport that brings so many people so much joy and frees the mind and just becomes an escape for not only us as performers and athletes, but for novice fans, for individuals who look for these outlets to get away from what's going on in our everyday lives.
All right, let's talk about what's going on. Drew Brees apologized yesterday in written form. Today he apologized in video form on Instagram. From the answer to a question about flag protesting the flag potentially in this coming year to the apologies, what's your take on the Drew Brees thing?
You know, my take yesterday before he issued the apology was one of, I felt that it was callous and selfish. And then once he issued the apology, I'm an individual that will accept that. I'm not one that's saying that you forget all of that, but you understand that a guy has the opportunity to either apologize or not apologize. And he took the high road of apology, and you must move forward if you're a teammate of Drew Brees.
Like, to me, it struck me as lacking empathy, right? Because he went into almost like he was a politician, went into his stock answer about what the flag means to him, which I'll be honest, he has every right to have the flag mean what the flag means to him. The problem was the timing, the lack of feeling and warmth and understanding of what else is going on. So I think that's, but there are others. And look, I'm not black, so I don't know how it lands with you. Was it so bad that this will forever change how you look and how others feel about Drew Brees?
Well, I wouldn't say for me personally it's going to change my complete understanding and knowledge of Drew Brees and relationship, the small relationship that I do have with Drew Brees, simply because as a teammate, anytime you've spent that amount of time with an individual, you tend to know pretty much who they are, or you have an idea of who they are. And in terms of football, Drew made a mistake, and he didn't say anything that was wrong per se, but his timing was not right. And what I mean by that is Drew Brees is a quarterback. He is playing in an ultimate team sport. And so if any individual who is on the field with him is thinking of anything outside of winning the game and what we can do to win the game, then he doesn't in that moment want anything to do with them. And that's all I'm saying when it comes to my vantage point and what I was able to hear and digest from his words. You weren't in the game in that moment, Drew. You were talking about something that's not relevant right now. And that's where the disappointment for me enters in, because Drew, again, as I mentioned, he's an ultimate team sport player. He's at the top in one of the highest regarded positions at quarterback. You must remain locked in. And if you participate, in which he did to a degree, whatever, in a blackout Tuesday, you've identified that you know what's going on. So you know we're in the fight. You know what the agenda is. So let's stay focused on the agenda and the task at hand.
So it strikes me that first Drew Brees backpedaling because of his comment and apologizing. This is the Niners saying, like, yeah, we may have talked about Tom Brady, but we think Jimmy Garoppolo can be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I see the smile. Do you buy it?
I don't buy it. I don't buy it. And this is a quarter. Kyle Shanahan is a very smart, relatable young coach. He gets it. If he has an opportunity to what looks like to him to make an improvement, he's going to do it. And he saw that potentially in Tom Brady. But when you have, and you know what he just said, you have someone within your house and your fold that has the potential to be an all-time great, the all-time great, you don't consider removing that piece. You understand it may take time, but I'm not moving that piece. That piece stays until I'm completely forced to either rid myself of it or what I thought does not manifest. And so for him to now say that, you didn't truly feel like that, and you don't truly feel like that, because if you had, and if you do, you would have never considered offering that piece up and trying to acquire what you thought was better. You don't do it. And so I'm not buying it. I get it. I know why. And he's a quarterback coach as well as an offensive coordinator, as well as a head coach. You have to be on the side of your players and make sure your players know that I have your best interests at heart. But as we all saw, he had the team's best interests at heart. He and John Lynch, when it came to the potential acquisition of Tom Brady.
When you played, were you better when you were mad? Were you better when you were hungry, when you're fed, when you were like in a Zen state, where you were calm? Like, what was the mood that you played your best football in?
For me, I think it was more, if I was to relate to one of those words, it would be more of a Zen state. If I'm mad, then sometimes that can become a distraction. Mm-hmm. If I'm hungry, I think being in a Zen state, it creates a hunger, it creates a thirst and a desire to fulfill whatever it is you've envisioned yourself fulfilling and playing out. And so that Zen state is, in my opinion, personally for me, was the best place for me to be. I'm not too high. Yeah. I'm not too low. I'm ready to go, though.
I ask you that because I kind of feel like Aaron Rodgers plays best when he's ticked off. And I think this whole between the Jordan Love thing And look, he's very much supported his teammates on social media, but I think he uses everything discussed, everything as fuel, and now he has kind of legit fuel. I think this can really help the Packers, the fact that they drafted Jordan Love and that he even admitted he wasn't all that jazzed about not getting a weapon. Is that accurate, that he plays better when he's ticked off?
Yeah, we've seen it. We've seen it when his back has been against the wall and that team's playoff berth was against the wall. And we go back to the season a few years ago when he issued the statement of relax. He knew right then and there, I got to back these words. And he was willing and ready-made to back those words to the fullest. It was just a matter of everyone coming on board, and that's what great players do. They find a way to really tap into not only themselves emotionally, but everyone else around them emotionally, so they feel like, yeah, they slighted all of us, not just you, Aaron. They're not just doubting you. They're slighting all of us. They're saying that we don't have what it takes. They're saying that we can't accomplish this. And so with you slighting Aaron, and it's not a slight, they're just doing what they feel like it's best to move forward if and when he decides to move on.
Yep.
And be prepared for that. But that's not how players see it.
I know.
If a player is drafted of your position, you're like, okay, I see what you're doing, but I have to do something about it to make sure I'm going nowhere.
Bruce Arians says, hey, you don't learn anything on the sidelines, which I think most of us agree with. But the Tua thing is interesting, right? Because he's been hurt a lot. And you have Fitzpatrick, and it's not like the Dolphins, we think they're playing for a Super Bowl this year. I mean, maybe that division is fairly open. The Bills are probably the best team. We'll see about the Jets. If you're the Dolphins, what's your thought process on if and when you play Tua this year?
To be honest, my thought process, I'm going to let it play out. And if I have the opportunity and the luxury to allow him to gain experience from Ryan Fitzpatrick and start him, and if Tua surpasses him, then so be it. Insert him. But if I absolutely have the luxury to let him sit back and absorb and learn and be more educated and have more time to develop and to see the speed of the game, to understand it before he actually is thrown in the fire, if he's more well equipped to handle the fire, he's going to be better suited for it. That doesn't mean that he wouldn't perform well if he does get thrown into it. But I think every coach would rather sit a player unless he just outright shows, I am ready to go. And I think that's what a coach from the outside and just all of us from the outside looking in will disregard, because we don't have to truly make that decision like the Miami Dolphins.
He wears a size medium shirt. Okay. He might not pass the Fox Sports PED test, but he is a great guy and a two-time Pro Bowler. He's Greg Jennings, joining us from somewhere from Chateau Jennings with the jerseys hanging in the background. G, have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.